wanted to bring something to your attention. Now, I found this, I'm trying to determine whether or not I wanted to do a quick live stream on this or whether I was going to do a video on this. But I think it's better to bring it to people's attention because I've kind of been watching this off and on a little bit today. And I've seen some of the numbers change, and it makes me nervous that people are actually buying these things. So I want to send out an invitation for everybody to kind of pay attention to what's going on here and avoid falling into a trap like this. Now, many of you are going to see this and they're going to go, "Yeah, well, no kidding, Frosty, it makes sense." But I just want people to understand what's going on. So let's talk a little bit about the history of this particular coin. So this coin actually came out in 2024. You guys know this. It was the flowing hair. They came out. One was the privy, one was not privy. They actually came out with a gold version of this. And here we are with somebody scamming you guys again, trying to say that they have found a 2025. Here's the items, and you can get this for a fairly decent price. Now, I pulled this off my phone and I pulled this across, and the problem is that it's not it doesn't really stand out too bad. I mean, if you look at it, they've got the label pretty pretty right, and this is kind of standard counterfeit looking thing. The problem is there is no 2025 flowing air privy. Now there's some other points to this, and I want to bring this all to your attention so that you have all the information that you need. But I want you to be very careful with it. So as we kind of look through this again, I'm going to hide myself real quick. I've done this as a video recording off of my telephone, pulling this off of Facebook. I've actually pulled the site, and as you can see here, 24.99. Obviously, that should be a red flag. But when I look at these, I've been watching the numbers actually increase, and they're talking about a number of these. They're utilizing the FOMO here, only two left. But this is something that I want to kind of bring to your guys' attention. Remember that when we look at these things, we always need to look at the descriptions and the details about the coin. Now, in this particular case, they're talking about the 2025. Remember, it's the 230th year, PCGS MS70. It's a showcase. It's exquisite. It's a nice thing. It's got the 13 stars, yada, yada, yada. They give a majority of the correct information. But what gets me is this next piece. And this next piece, if you really pay attention to coins and you start looking at the difference, this is really good with the stackers. If you're a stacker, you would know very quickly that there's something wrong with what I'm about to show you. There's a lot of things, Kim, on this that's misspelled, but there are not misspellings. I've seen really good quality ads that have misspellings in them. But the really big kicker here is this one right here. Now, when you're talking about silver coming in the form of a metal, you're talking about three nines fine, 999 fine, right? And one of the problems here is they talk about its relation to the maple and the silver eagle. Okay. Well, the problem with this is that the eagle that they're referencing isn't the silver eagle. If you think about the silver eagle, the American silver eagles, the 999 fine, it is a bullion coin. Now, there's a, a known mintage of these. There's a known makeup of the silver. This is nothing new. However, here they very clearly state, as you look through this, that this is point 1 or 0.9167. So 91.67% pure or 22 karat. Well, if it's 22 karat, the only way this can be 22 karat is if we're looking at gold. So I took a screenshot of this, pulled it across my telephone. You can actually pull this up when you're looking at this app, and this reference the gold eagle. So when you're looking at these particular items, be very critical about what it is that you're looking at and really kind of pay attention to the language that's being used. The problem with this particular ad is that the information that they give you isn't to the silver eagle and it isn't to the flowing hair metal. Now they call it the flowing hair coin, It's not a coin, it's actually the flowing hair metal. But the gold coin was, but they're mixing their language up here. Again, it's something very important. Now, when you're looking at this particular one, we're looking at gold, silver. Again, they're talking about 22 karat. The only thing we have 22 karat is gold. You all know this, but again, there's been thousands of these things sold according to what's been going on. I watched this all throughout today, was wanting to see if the number actually went up or if it was just a marketing ploy. And the numbers have went from 15 down to 2. So the number has changed quite significantly. Um, and now the number went back down to 2. So it's kind of gone up and down again. It's marketing thing. They don't want to leave it at 2 all the time because if you go away and then you come back and it's still at 2, then there's going to be a problem. But as you continue to look through this, there's always something that you can do. And that is whenever you're looking at a fake certificate, pull up the information. Again, you'll see we're looking at the Gold Eagle. It shows that 91.67 or 22 karat gold. Now, I want you to look at the reverse. Now, I'm going to stop this right here and I want you to look at this particular reverse. Why? Because as we look at some of the other ones that are on their site, and I'll be pulling the site up here in just a minute, this is a very common reverse. This is the same reverse that's on every one of these. Now, mind you, on this particular site, I don't want you navigating to it. Don't go to it. You don't need to go visit it. I don't know what all the security issues are with this site yet, but they have maples, they have buffaloes, they have silver eagles. There's all sorts of these things on here, and they all are in the exact same slab. They're the exact same reverse. They're the exact same thing. But the problem is you're not going to have this exact same item across multiple versions, especially when you have them done over various years. Now they have more than this on their site. There's more coins than this on their site. I've actually reached out to a good buddy of mine who's really knowledgeable about this, and we're going to start investigating some of the coins on this particular channel. I'm going to be going to the ACEF, the Anti-Counterfeiting Educational Foundation. I'm going to be reporting this website. I'm going to be listing some help in doing that as well. But I want you to all be aware of this. Again, this is very, very clear. Now, when we're looking at this authentic PCGS slabs, you can obviously look that up. So we're going to pull up the certificate. And when I pull up this particular certificate, you're going to see that this actually shows as a gold buffalo, 9999 fine gold, first day of issue, MS70. And this is actually not a silver coin at all. It actually doesn't even point to the right one. Again, if you're ever looking at buying a slabbed coin, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're looking at silver, gold, platinum, palladium, if you're looking at a numismatic coin, always check your certs. Your certs are going to be a really big, important thing. But again, folks, remember, some of these coins sell for massive money on eBay and they look good. If you don't do your research and you don't pull your information out, you could run into some serious trouble. So don't get caught with your pants down. Don't get caught spending money that you shouldn't. And make sure that you're really doing your due diligence on this. Again, this is another one of these coins that has come out that has, again, the certificate clearly shows you that it is not the right coin. So just be careful with this. Now, when I pull up a couple different things, again, if I want to search the 2025 flowing hair, obviously it doesn't come up. If I pull up United States Mint, US Mint coins, Facebook advertisement, flowing hair 2025, obviously nothing comes up on this. So if you're going to Google something and Google doesn't display anything and it's supposed to be this top thing that happening with the Mint, that should be a warning, right? Anytime somebody's going to be advertising something, it should be showing up. But as I stated before, I can actually come to this particular channel. And this channel is, hold on, let me pull this up real quick. And when I pull this up, this is actually a channel. So this channel actually exists. And you'll see here that some of the best selling one, again, there is the Silver Eagle, there is the Buffalo, And then you have the flowing hair and stuff over here on the right hand side of this page. Okay, so again, you see multiples. Now, again, I have sent out a message already to Jack Riley, Jack Young. I'm going to be completing a counterfeiting issue here because I want to be looking at these. I want to be investigating this. But I want you guys to know if you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, and you see something come across from usamintcoins.com, stay clear. Okay. It's clear that the best selling top items they have all have that reverse that I was telling you about. They're the same on every single one. The barcodes do not point to the right types of coins. Again, as I find these things, I'm going to be reporting them. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this in a video or not, or if I just wanted to bring it to your all's attention. But again, if you find these things, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to send them to us. You can send it to frostbytecoins@gmail.com. Send that to me, and then I'll make sure that we get other people engaged and involved because we need to really start doing something to protect this hobby. Again, as we look down, I've been able to look at some of these coins. Some of them, they stand out as things that definitely need to be looked at. When you look at some of these, they have elements in the uh, items that shouldn't be there. They have certain items in these, and I'll show you. One of these is, where is it? I'll have to find it. I think I don't know if it's the 2004. There's another one in here. There's a couple of these. I've got it narrowed down, but there's another one that actually shows you um, the Adolf Weinman logo, but it shouldn't be there. It's not even on that particular coin. Hey, Mike Noodle, what's going on, brother? Yeah, $25 for those. Obviously, that's a problem. Now, I can't tell you that the rest of the coins on this site are not real. I can't tell you that. I haven't been able to really look at that close enough. But when their top selling items here are all fake counterfeits, fake slabs, meant to deceive people, they are 100% somebody that shouldn't be trusted. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, just a public service announcement. If you were on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on some of those channels, and you happen to see this come through, warn the elderly, warn these people that are searching for a good deal that this is not the place to buy it from. This is not a good place to go. Obviously, these people are going to be reported. I'm going to work on doing that tonight, and I wanted to share this with you. But again, please, I'm doing a call out, public service. If you guys run across these types of advertisements, I want to start collecting these. I want to start identifying who they are, and I want to start reporting them. I want the community to start to join together, and let's start working on getting these people reported appropriately. What they're doing here is they're preying on people, one, who are looking for a fairly decent deal. They're looking for new people who are into the hobby that are just getting in. They're wanting to find some stuff. They think they've uncovered something really cool. They found this site that's kind of off the beaten path, and they found something neat. And what's going to happen is they end up buying this stuff, and it ends up in circulation. And maybe it's a grandfather trying to buy something for his grandson, or maybe it's a dad trying to buy something for his daughter, or maybe it's a mom who's trying to buy a graduation gift for a kid that's graduating. There's a lot of these things that we need to kind of pay attention to. So if we find these things, please send them my way, send them up. We'll report them, and I'll get some of the people that are really adamant in this on board, and we'll make sure that we get this taken care of. Metal Matt, that's a really good question. How are these people not ever arrested by Secret Service or law enforcement? There's a couple different problems. Number one is they have to have the intent to deceive, right? Now, this particular company, they say they operate out of California, and you come down here and you can actually find the address. Now, just because they say they operate out of California doesn't mean that's where they're actually at. Again, it could be some freaking warehouse, it could be an empty lot, right? So who knows if this address actually connects to something? You can have a 310 area code. You'll see it's 5550101. That should probably be a little bit of a flag with the 555. This number is probably going to lead you to a automated system that says, hey, if you want to know more send us an Instagram, send us a WhatsApp, send us a whatnot, and we will, we will connect with you. Send an email to so on and so forth. Fill out our form. And by the way, if you want to send some stuff out, there's a form you actually have to complete. I would urge caution against doing things like that. Uh, we don't actually know where this information is. We don't know where this company is at. And so don't just because it states that it comes from here. Now, again, I have the address, I have the information, uh, but yeah, it's definitely something. Could be a forwarding address. Yeah, who knows what this is, right now? As Mike said before, many of these items, many of these pages are going to be operated from overseas actors. You're going to see a lot of these coming in from uh, uh, looking from China. You're going to find a lot of these other places. I sent this information, and by the way, Jack Young just said that his virus protection system blocked the site. Now, I have a protection doesn't allow me to download anything, so please do not access the website. It could be phishing information, so just be very careful with this. But this is something that is getting reported. I'm going to go up and I'm going to make sure that people are aware of it. I'm also going to be sending a notification through to Facebook, but I'm also going to be forwarding it through the I3 or the IC3, which is the FBI's version of reporting. Secret Service has another one of those. But I'm going to be reporting this again. This is a site, it's active, and they're doing this, it's live. So I'm going to be reporting this accordingly. But again, if you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on some of these social media sites, please be careful and make sure that you are. Um, Sloppy Stacks. By the way, the address is in the middle of some canyon. I wouldn't doubt it at all. Um, Again, you can't trust these things. Okay, so is this information? No, this is a deceptive site. This is meant to deceive. So again, it's extremely important that we identify what's happening. We look at this information and we get to the bottom of what's going on here. So again, if you happen to come across these things, if you happen to see these frostbitecoins at gmail.com, send me information and I'll make sure I do this. Also, another thing that you need to be aware of is just because you see a picture of an authentic coin doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the coin you get. You've got to read the descriptions very carefully and make sure that the description states that this is the coin you're going to receive. Be very careful. The other thing is when you do your shipping information, find out if they have return policies. And if you're going to use something like PayPal, never do friends and family. Make sure that you always do the um, the business side of things. Don't use things like Cash App. If you can, use a credit card instead of a debit card. Credit cards have much better consumer protection on them. Your debit card does not. And again, if they get your information, you have more issues potentially with your financial institution. So be very careful with that. Again, this is just something I want to bring to your attention. I'm not going to take much longer. I just wanted to bring this up, show you a little bit about this. Again, the reason that this flagged for me was because of the 2025 flowing hair. Clearly, that is not something that's going to exist. But the label pointed to a gold buffalo. So simply doing your basic checks, holding up a red book, doing a Google search, looking at the certificate can help you and protect you from making a fatal flaw in finding things like this. Okay. This is Frosty. I appreciate you guys joining with me again. I didn't want to take very much of your day out. I just wanted to make sure you had enough information to protect yourself and make sure that you are well informed. Kim Campbell, here's a question. I have a local seller that has a replica coins, but the coin isn't marked to reflect as such. It's just written on the flip. Is that legal? Well, if you talk about the Consumer Protection Act, the Coin Protection Act, there is very specific information that is talked about in that act, and I can pull that act up. So let me do this, and let me pull up the. Oops, hold on just a second. I didn't want to do that. I just made myself big. Let me pull up the pull this up. I didn't actually have this up. So when you talk about this particular measure, now I'm going to have to kind of bring this down. This is just a clarities. Actually, this isn't the site I wanted to pull up at all. But this will give you enough information. 18 USC 331. Again, the scope of this is to make sure that if you have a coin, if it's not genuine, it needs to be marked as such. And for some reason, it's not showing. So um, let me change something really quick. Yeah, it's the Hobby Protection Act. Let me change this. I want to find the actual federal requirements. There we go. This is the site that I wanted. Okay. 15 USC 2101 to 2106. It's very clear. Okay. It states that you can't import, have political, manufacturing, selling items, numismatic items. They have to meet the requirement. Now, what is that requirement? That requirement, and there are a whole bunch of items in here when you look at what needs to be there. But what the thing that we're looking at is HPA. Yeah, but there's where is oh maybe that's it right here. Here it is. That's what I'm looking at. Okay. So when you're looking at this particular item, there's very clear detail about what is and what isn't accepted. Now, there's a lot of people who are going to argue a little bit about this fact because they're going to bring up questions. What about the Henning nickel? What about um, the gold coin that was done? That was the Omega Man. What about some of these other coins that are in TPG holders that have been, called authentic, but they're actually counterfeits? The law is very clear. The law is that if you're in possession of one of these, it must be stamped. It must be stamped with copy, and it must be in relation to the size of the coin. Now, putting it on a flip does not actually put that on the coin itself. Okay. One of the things is this section B. Let me do this. I should have had this. That should be somewhere in there. Let me see the word copy. That'll actually get me. There we go. Okay. So the term political imitation means that it purports but is not fact. Copy counterfeit. The term numismatic again. Um, the reproduction copy counterfeit original item. But what it actually states on here is that it actually has to be um, stamped onto the coin, and it has to be in proportion to the size of the coin. So if you're looking, you have a very small stamp and you're going to be stamping it on a half dime, the size of the copy can be much smaller than if you're stamping it on a counterfeit trade dollar. Putting it on a flip doesn't resolve you of that because it can be taken out of the flip. Technically, putting it in a TPG holder as a counterfeit doesn't resolve you of that either. According to this, it actually has to be stamped on the coin. So are they doing something illegal? Well, I wouldn't say that they're not. But I'm saying that they may want to consider this. They should probably look at this and get the definition. And I apologize. I'm not a little bit more um, set up for this particular discussion about what's happening. But again, if you have it, you must have the word copy stamped onto either the obverse or the reverse. Doesn't really matter, but it should be stamped onto the surface of the coin. So great question. I appreciate that. Um, Let's see. I also believe that companies that allow these companies to advertise should be held accountable. Absolutely. And again, they're making money off of this. And just like the situation we ran with eBay, the problem with that is that they may not have the teams to adequately monitor that. Now, they should have something there in place to do that. So this absolutely should be monitored. This is something that they absolutely should be doing. And I absolutely agree. And now there are requirements, there are policies that have to be put in place by companies. Um, but one of the sticky wickets that happens with this with companies is they have to be quote unquote knowledgeable of this. Like they have to actually know what's going on. So if they are in full awareness that a counterfeit is being sold, they have they have an obligation to remove it. The problem is it's kind of one of those things that I don't know if you remember Oliver North and the Contra scandal from Iran and when they did that stuff. Plausible deniability, right? I don't recollect that. It was a common phrase that was made, and basically what it was saying was, you know, I have no recollection of that. I don't recall that. I don't remember that being the case. I don't know that that was actually a thing, and we call it plausible deniability. And so if you don't know, you don't do the research, you don't actually go through and try to find out what's going on. If you don't have that set up, that company, well, yeah, hey, we just didn't know about it. As soon as we found out, we made sure we pulled it off. So they have policies in place, but the question is, just like what we ran to with eBay, looking at the information that was sent to Jack Young, I read that in the stream the other day, I believe it was on Saturday, and they were like, "Hey, yeah, we know. We're looking into it. Unfortunately, we just don't have the manpower. We don't have that department, and I'm not the one to handle that." So it was a really nice way to say, as one of the gentlemen said in the comments, if you're Southern or if you're from the South, isn't that nice? It was a very it was a very interesting way of saying that. That comment made me laugh, but yes, I agree, Metal Matt. They should be held accountable for things like this. Now, this is probably a phishing website, and this is probably something. The advertisement that the website looks legit. They pay the money. They do whatever. There should be some place in this, but how do you manage that? And again, it's hard to do. When eBay tells me via AI that Canadian maple leaf for 9.99 doesn't violate standards, yeah, but again, yeah, bless your heart. That's another one, Mike. That's yeah. Um, who are they to say that somebody's not just blowing out an amazing deal? Um, you have to take it with from a business standpoint, they should be checking all of these, but with some of these large ones, it's very difficult to do. What I want to do is I just want to inform you when I run across these things, just make you aware. I can't do anything about them advertising online, but what I can't do, yeah, well, I can't change that. But what I can do is I can start reporting it. I can tell you guys when it's happening, and you guys can either give them to me, um, send those addresses to me, let me know where they are, and then I can do the research and connect with people who do have that information or do have that power to do that. Because again, we have to, as a community, we have to pull together and make sure that we're tracking these things. So this is something that absolutely has to be done. I guess I could put myself back up here. So hi everybody, hope you're doing well. But again, I wanted to share this with you, and I was looking through this, and I'm just going, how many people really wanted to get a privy but couldn't? How many people really wanted to get the medal, but they sold out too fast? And then it started me thinking, we're going to have this problem next year with these privy mark coins that are coming out. We're going to start seeing counterfeits of these very quickly. Why is that? Because of FOMO. People don't want to miss out. And if you tried to go to the mint and you weren't able to get one, it's very, very likely that you're going to start seeing these things. So, ladies and gentlemen, you need to be thinking about this. You need to be cognizant. And again, check your certs. If you find something that's not real and you find something that has an incorrect cert, Or like this one, which was just completely wrong, talked about the gold buffalo instead of a silver flowing hair metal. Um, Report those, right? And who do we report those to? Well, you got to report it to Facebook because that's the place that you found it. But we have other avenues, we have other venues, and we have people that really want to do that. The Anti-Counterfeiting Education Foundation is a really good one. I talked about, did a video on how to report these things. I'm going to be following that step as soon as I finish this. I'm going to be pulling that information. I'm going to be reporting that website. I'm also going to be going to the IC3. The IC3 is the FBI site, and I'll be reporting it there. Again, this violates the Federal Trade Act. It violates the Consumer Protection Act. This is counterfeit. This is fraud, and it needs to be reported accordingly. But I wanted to give you guys some due diligence and make sure that you guys had the information ahead of time. Why is that important? Because this gives you the opportunity to go talk to those elderly people that you know, go talk to those new collectors and say, hey, if you happen to come across the flowing hair 2025, they're not real. Okay, just be aware of that. Because a lot of us go, well, that's common sense. It's not common sense. Not everybody knows it. That's why fraud works. Again, working on fear of missing out, working on these items, we're going to see some of these coins because of the demand. We saw what happened with the Army Privy. We saw how quickly it sold out. We saw that there's a bunch of people who want that. You can't tell me that there's not an opportunity, and you can't tell me that we're not going to see that in the future. Again, we have to start paying attention to this. And as a community, only as a community, can we work together to really start shutting some of these things down. So I wanted to bring this to you. I appreciate your time. I've gone over the amount of time I actually wanted to do. I only wanted to do this about 15, 20 minutes. But I appreciate you coming along, listening to me. If you can share this out, let people know about this. Again, I don't recommend you go to the site that I showed you simply because there might be a phishing or a scamming scheme. The browser that I utilized will filter all that stuff. They won't be allowed to come through. But again, it's one of those things. Um, Surfer, that's the privy. Yes, if you had the original privy, yeah, you could have made some money. But again, people are going to utilize that to manipulate others, right? Um, People want that easy payday. People want that easy win. And I have a privy. I get it. I absolutely understand the value that it was inherent there. But I kept it because of its rarity, right? And that is actually one of the rare. There's only 230 of them. And so there'll never be any more. But people are going to be looking for them. So they're going to try to manipulate you to buy them a year later. Hey, look at this amazing deal. Hey, look, we're redoing this. You'll see this with things like the Franklin Mint and those other places. Hey, we're running a specialty item, and they'll call it something like a replica. They'll call it something like that, but it'll be buried deep inside the descriptions. So again, look at the descriptions. The descriptions matter. They're going to be your first sign. They're going to be your first telltale to whether or not something is genuine and true. Number two, maybe they're telling you the truth. Maybe they're telling you that it's a plated silver coin. Read it, understand it, because if you buy it and they've told you what it is, then it's buyer beware. Caveat emptor. But if they're selling it as an authentic piece and it's not, then you got to report it accordingly. And again, if you get a silver coin or a gold coin or any counterfeit coin, do not try to resell it and do not try to use it as some sort of commerce because now you're going to be held liable to certain laws. So please, please, please protect yourself, understand the law, understand the requirements, and don't fall for scams like the one that I just showed you. All right. All right, folks. Well, I'm out of here. You guys take care of yourselves. I appreciate you a ton. Richly layered in pure 24 gold. Yeah. And you'll see another one. Hey, Paula, what's going on? You'll see another one where they talk about 999 gold or 9.99 mil gold, right? And so they're talking about the layer, right? They're talking about the thickness of that layer of gold. And so you've got to be really careful with this. So read the details. Like if you're going to be purchasing something online, the deal looks really good. Read those details, read them well, ask questions. And if you, again, if you have any concern, there's a ton of people here in the community. Paula, Mike, both the Jacks, myself. There's a lot of people who really want to protect this hobby, and you can send us emails, send us information, and we'll make sure that we get that stuff out there. All right. Well, you guys take care. I'm going to wrap up, and pretty late to the party. Yeah, it's okay. This was just kind of impromptu, but I saw this and had to share with everybody. Okay, folks. Well, hey, be well, be blessed. I love you all. Take care and stay safe. Knowing is important, and community is how we're all going to get through this. Okay, take care.